All right, you guys, shout out to my man's Arthur Warwill with the Buy Me a Coffee special that he finna put on the line for the night. So we got the Beatles, right? So it's a bunch of Beatles recordings, but it's a YouTube channel called You Can't Unhear This. Okay, so what it is that it goes over the actual recording of each song. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna react to the song and then jump into the You Can't Unhear This. Now I had no idea this channel existed actually, and I think it's a great concept for us to go back and actually touch on how this was recorded. And plus, it helps me kind of understand the song. And I like that kind of stuff. I like breaking down that kind of stuff. So shout out to him for this 8 for 80 special. Okay. So what I like about this is because in the last one that I did for TC actually showed us another YouTube channel called Playing for Change, where it's a bunch of musicians who specialize in playing like an instrument or being a vocalist. And it actually, they'll cover a song, but it's everybody that's a part of the song. So jumping into that channel and then jumping into You Can't Unhear This, it kind of brings some different variety to the channel, which I like. You know what I mean? So let's get this thing started. Want to give a shout out to all the members in the members tab. Man, thank you for supporting the channel. Also, shout out to the sponsor of this channel, Westone Audio. Okay, go ahead and you get 10% off using my code site wide. And yeah. So with that being said, let's get it. We got the we got the Beatles with Paperback Writer recorded for the Ed Sullivan Show. So let's get this. Well, that sounds so analog. I thought my headphones was messing up for a second. Beatles Archive. I wonder if this is like before or after the Little Richard influence, but this might be before because Little Richard did say that they was going to be stars when he met him. It's actually the most up-tempo I've seen the Beatles. Dude, do not sleep on those guitar riffs either, man. Those guitar riffs and the hook and the like those are the most memorable sounds of the song that I'm seeing so far. Like I really like that. I really like that part. Like that almost sounds like a intro to a movie or something, like or like a picture collage in a movie. Like I could see this being used for a lot of different situations. Young Paul. I like the energy on that track, man. I like the energy of the song. I definitely like the riffs. That's the most memorable sound to me. Vocally, you could tell like this is like a long time ago because the vocal technology has improved so much more in the last like 60 years that this the funny thing is like me hearing this in 2025, I would say it doesn't sound great vocally, but you can kind of tell. But thankfully, since I do live in this time, I'm able to tell the difference between clear cut and great vocals. And even though the singing was good, it was a little hard to pick up, the enunciation. And the only time I really understood was really Paperback Writer. And then you could hear the backup singers and things like that going on. I forgot everybody else's name. Ringo, John Lennon, George. Yeah, okay, all right. So you can hear George singing background. You can hear a little bit of John Lennon, I think. And I thought it made for a good song. It had great energy, man. Like, it had great energy. That's all I can say. All right, so we finna check out actually how Paperback Writer changed the Beatles sound forever. Now, the thing is, that's why I said in the other reaction was this post or before Little Richard's influence on the Beatles? Because they loved Little Richard. So, all right, let's go ahead and check this out.
Paperback Writer is one of the catchiest songs that the Beatles ever released.
I told you. That's exactly what I said.
And it marks a pivotal moment for the band in many ways. It also has a few intriguing anomalies that you might have missed. I'm going to examine those anomalies in the context of the song's unique recording history. As a fair warning, once I point them out, you can't unhear this. In early 1966, the Beatles were in the midst of a major transition in their career. They were shifting away from a relentless schedule of touring, recording multiple albums per year, and acting in films. And they were moving toward a more deliberate approach to songwriting and in-studio production. Their latest album, Rubber Soul, released in December 1965, signaled that the band had turned a corner creatively as well, integrating the fresh sounds of folk music and Indian instruments.
So based on what we already reacted to with a lot of, and that's no thanks to you, Daniel, but so this is after all the touring. So this is way after they met Little Richard. This is the touring. This is like at the peak of their powers right here. And so they went to sounds of folk music and Indian instruments. So is this after Sgt. Pepper or this before Sgt. Pepper?
Expanding their lyrical themes beyond romantic love and relationships. Mm-hmm. By late March 1966, pressure to start recording new material was mounting. And so the band convened at EMI Studios for a series of sessions that would eventually become the basis for their landmark album, Revolver. Per their usual pattern at the time, though, the first order of business was to record a new single. Deliberately venturing into new thematic territory, Paul had stumbled upon an idea for writing a song about, well, writing. Working in collaboration with John, Paul developed a somewhat tongue-in-cheek story of a man trying desperately to sell his work of fiction to a publisher. Musically speaking, Paperback Writer was the offspring of their earlier single, Day Tripper, another catchy, riff-centric pop hit released a few months earlier. But this time around, the band made highly creative use of innovative studio techniques to shape the song, a shift in their approach to production that would dominate the Revolver sessions and last until their breakup. On April 13, 1966, the band gathered at EMI Studios for a 6.5-hour evening session to rehearse and then record Paul's brand new song. By the end of the session, the band had accomplished a suitable rhythm track, labeled Take Two. At this stage, we can hear Ringo on drums, and though there's some dispute over the rest of this lineup, it most likely was Paul playing that iconic riff on electric guitar.
Oh, good. Shout out to Paul.
John on rhythm guitar, and George Harrison on tambourine.
Like the real church man he is. Hitting that tambourine. Pow!
And George Harrison on tambourine. Interestingly, the main riff is strikingly similar to one first used a few days earlier for another Paul song, Got to Get You Into My Life, which would end up on the Revolver album.
Oh, wow.
With the rhythm track
almost sound polyrhythmic right there. April 7th, left channel, paperback, writer, rain. So it must have changed. That's actually a good mix, man. Thank you for doing that.
With the rhythm track complete, the band moved on to vocal overdubs, including Paul's double-tracked lead vocal.
Dear sir, oh madam, will you read my book? It took me years to write.
Bro, you can't tell me nothing about vocal recording. If this is in the 60s, we're doing double-track vocal recording. It further surmises my thoughts on Too Much Heaven by the Bee Gees. They recorded multiple layers of vocals. By the time, if they were doing double track vocals here, they can't tell me nothing, man.
The band moved on to vocal overdubs, including Paul's double-tracked lead vocal.
Dear sir, oh madam, will you read my book? It took me years to write. Will you
it definitely sounds like
and some wonderful
voices.
harmonies.
Paperback writer.
Great harmonies, by the way.
On the next day, April 14th, the four Beatles returned to the studio to finish off the song. One of the key missing parts was the bass guitar, since Paul, typically on bass, had instead been handling the lead guitar during the previous session. But the band had a new idea in mind. They were impressed by the beefy bass sound on songs from American labels such as Stax and Motown.
They borrowed.
To help achieve a similar sound, they enlisted the help of Jeff Emmerich, a young and eager EMI engineer who would accompany the Beatles throughout their evolution into a more studio-focused group. Using a highly unorthodox technique at the time, Jeff rewired a loudspeaker to act as a microphone, thereby picking up a wider range of low frequencies.
Wow.
Paul, using a new Rickenbacker bass guitar, overdubbed his new part onto the existing backing track. The end result was a more potent bass part than had ever been heard before in a Beatles song. And Paul deployed this new sound extensively throughout the Revolver album.
Doesn't it sound like almost the bass that plays on the Peanuts a little bit?
Beatles song. And Paul deployed this new sound extensively throughout the Revolver album. According to studio logs, the band also experimented with a few other quirky overdubs, such as piano and organ, both ultimately abandoned, so we unfortunately don't know what those sounded like. One late addition that did make it through, however, was a rendition of the classic Frère Jacques nursery rhyme.
It's 1,000 pages, give or take a few. I'll be writing more in a week or two.
By 7:30 p.m., the band had wrapped up their work on...
It sounded good, but why? Why would you say Frère Jacques in the backing track? Like I said, it sounds great, but I be always questioning, like, why?
Writing more in a week or two.
By 7:30 p.m., the band had wrapped up their work on Paperback Writer and would move on to recording the flip side of the new single, Rain, another song not about romantic love that would also employ extensive studio ingenuity to signal to the world that the Beatles, and pop music generally, had turned a significant corner. Although the band had finished recording Paperback Writer, there was a bit more creative work applied to the track in post-production. During the mixing process, Jeff Emmerich applied a new technique for creating snippets of echo and delay, using multiple tape machines at once. You can hear it most clearly at the end of this verse. While today this effect would
Wow.
be effortlessly achieved with a digital software plugin,
Please tell
at the
me
time
how to
this
do
required
that.
a significant amount of coordination during the live mixing of the song. An interesting consequence of this being added live during the original mix was that when the 2022 remix was created, this delay effect had to be created again from scratch. There's a couple of other fun little anomalies and mistakes buried in the track, too. At around 57 seconds, you can hear a cough, caught by one of the live microphones during the backing track. Then, at 1 minute 20 seconds, someone comes in a little bit late on the Ferrajaka harmony.
Really like it, you can have the right. It could make $1 million for you overnight.
Toward the end of the song, you can hear someone warming up to practice their harmony part a second or two before it starts. I love these charming little organic anomalies of the analog era that
But see, in the analog era, they had room and space to do these things because that's what makes it more organic than anything. Those little small imperfections right there was what make the song special. Now, he did digitally enhance them so we can see it, but those little small things, I think, when you point those things out, that makes the song even more special. So now when everything seems to have to be altered and being so obsessed with perfection these days, like there's no room for humanity in the music, I guess.
I love these charming little organic anomalies of the analog era that probably wouldn't be left in a modern digital recording.
Nah.
There are other little surprises that continue to emerge even decades later. In May 2023, on a thread on the Steve Hoffman forums, a fan claimed that they had detected a previously undocumented sound of a typewriter. Could it be that the Beatles, who were not strangers to using random objects or sound effects, had included an actual typewriter somewhere in the mix? It certainly would fit with the theme of the song. Realistically, though, if the band had used something as unconventional as an actual typewriter, it probably would have been mentioned at some point then or in the years since.
Nah, not always.
Most likely, it's either the hi-hat on Ringo's drum set or the tambourine, played in an offbeat rhythm that perhaps was intentionally made to sound like the narrator typing away at their novel. Regardless of what it actually is, this is yet another example of an anomaly that, whether intentional or not, fits remarkably well in the final result. Released as a single in the US at the end of May 1966, the Paperback Writer Rain combination was a bold preview of the magic that was coming on the landmark Revolver album, released 3.
Sorry about that, but I had an emergency and but now I'm back, and now we can continue where we left off. I backed up a little bit, and yeah, let's keep this thing going. Sorry about that.
Mania era had given way to a new phase of confident experimentation. They weren't alone in this transition. In fact, the Beatles have admitted that parts of Paperback Writer, specifically the gorgeous harmonies, were inspired partly by the Beach Boys, who at the time were considered to be their American creative rivals.
Why don't you leave me alone? Yeah. Paperback writer.
Paperback Writer's impact on pop culture at the time was significant. It even served as the direct inspiration for Last Train to Clarksville, the debut single written for TV sound-alike band, The Monkees. The song also marked a turning point for the Beatles as live musicians. Given how much was overdubbed and manipulated in the studio, this was the first single that simply didn't translate that well to a live performance. But they did try. In fact, Paperback Writer would be the only song from the Revolver era that would make it onto the 1966 tour.
This one's called Paperback Writer.
A more fitting representation of the song's milieu is found in director Michael Lindsay Hogg's music video, a rather artsy, mimed performance that doesn't have Ringo anywhere near a drum set. In the decades since its release, Paperback Writer has earned acclaim as being among the finest examples of their pop songwriting. And it's almost unbelievable how much is packed into just 2 minutes and change.
Right, right.
All of their talents are on full display here, from the unconventional, witty lyrics to the effervescent performance of all four bandmates. Combined with the superb and cutting-edge production at EMI, it sounds just as fresh and exciting over a half-century later. What do you think about Paperback Writer and its many anomalies and innovations? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for listening and subscribing.
I think that was just such a lovely example of breaking down music in the means that sometimes like I would even want to do it. Like, but it took 10 minutes to do that. You know what I'm saying? So adding a breakdown that deep into a reaction wouldn't be so permissible for me. But I think some people on my channel would enjoy something like that. I admire research like this. I admire like the way it's broken down, and I really appreciate this. Like I really appreciate this. I really appreciate like Daniel showing me this, and I wish there was a lot more of this when it comes to like even modern music. You know what I'm saying? Like how did some of our favorite songs were recorded, and how would, you know what I'm saying, some of these sounds are happening by mistake, you know what I mean? So it's like it's definitely something to see. Definitely appreciate Daniel for doing this one, man. We finna continue on. All right, finna continue on to the next one. I believe is the Beatles' Rain, and it's a colorized video.